Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Creative Finance Playbook Podcast. I'm your host, Jen.
I'm Joe.
And we are so lucky, you guys. We have both Amelia and Grace, the founders of the WIRE community, Women Investing in Real Estate. I'm super passionate about what they've created here, and we're going to talk all about the deals that they're doing, projects that are happening, and all things behind the scenes. And they let us know that it's been a little while since they've had a gab session, so I'm super pumped to hear what comes out today.
And
you never know.
Always excited or scared?
A little bit of both. No.
Well, it is always a great time with you two every single time. So we're thrilled to have you both on again and talk about some fun stuff, real estate, right? And the things that you two have been accomplishing over the last 5-6 years have been absolutely amazing. And it's been a huge inspiration for the guys too, but you created this women's community for WIRE, which has been a huge inspiration for so many women, where they have a place to connect with other rock stars like yourself. You hold these retreats and these meetups. Jen's gone to a bunch. Dudes, we can't go, but it's all right. I hear they're totally awesome. And every time Jen comes back, she's like, jaw hits the ground. It was like the best time ever. So I can't wait to talk more about what you guys have been up to, because we've been around watching. We've been part of it, right? And now we're going to talk about it today.
Yes. I don't know who wants to take the floor and start first, but let's give us an update here. What's going on in 2025?
Ooh, 2025 has been a fun year. We have gotten our online membership, the WIRE community membership, up and rolling. We have about 160 women, so that's been really fun.
Damn.
And for real estate, both of us have definitely been taking some steps in new directions, so that's been fun. I feel like we are moving out of we've done our first iteration of our real estate portfolio, and now we're kind of looking at how do we set ourselves up for what we really want our portfolios and our lives to look like here in the next 3 to 5 years.
I love that.
Well, you've got some really cool things going on too, Grace. Like talking about getting the champagne bottle and breaking over the bottle. Like you've got some new development going on, like some new stuff, right? It's not just buying a single family home or even a duplex. Like you've got some really cool things going on. I've been watching, I've been cheering you on, but it's really cool to see. So what are you working on now?
Yeah, I'm building a triplex for the first time. I've never even touched new construction, and I'm also building it out of state. Obviously, I have boots on the ground, but I'm in Iowa right now. I live in Tucson, Arizona. And just a couple days ago, I saw the foundation for the first time. Took my fiance Brant there today, and we were both standing on the foundation just looking at each other, and he just looks at me and goes, "What the fuck?" Dude, I don't know how this happened, but it's happening. But I mean, yeah, I'm making my way into new construction, not on purpose. I bought a lot basically in a really nice area downtown. Thought I was going to do one thing, that didn't work. Thought I was going to do another thing, that didn't work. So now I'm on iteration number 3, new construction.
Thank God.
Well, it's amazing too. You had a few different options that you can do, right? And I think this is why we absolutely love with real estate is, if plan A doesn't work, having a backup plan or even 2 backup plans and still make that deal work. And I love your story because you're like, I've always wanted to own something here. Like this has always been your goal. And now here it is actually foundations in, things are actually starting to happen.
So real talk, at any point along this journey in this, have you been so close to just throwing in the towel? Or you're like,
oh my God, yes. Amelia already knows. Amelia goes, I got that call last week.
I said every day.
Every day. Yeah, I lost, long story short, I was supposed to get this really great tax credit from the city, and I messed up 2 things and I didn't get it. And it's not going to make or break me, but it was a $40,000 mistake of tax credits that I'm not going to get. And so I was telling Amelia, oh my God, I'm just so upset at myself. But also, if I let this be the only development I ever do, then it's a $40,000 mistake. If I take that mistake and do it again and then get more tax credits and better projects, then it's all for a good reason and helps me keep moving forward. But if I throw in the towel now, then it truly is a loss.
Mm-hmm. Right attitude to have.
Yeah. So how are you handling that on the phone with her, Amelia, being her emotional support, female investor friend here, best friend?
Honestly, we just vent to each other. It's just nice to have a sounding board. I don't even think that a lot of the times we're necessarily looking for advice on what to do. It's more of just complaining about it for a little bit and then moving on.
And you commiserate with me.
Yeah, I commiserate with her. You know, we always joke that it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. You're always failing forward in real estate. It seems like nothing ever goes perfectly to plan, but we talked about this in my episode last week. Like, you never learn and you never experience those things if you never get started. So I think when you go into real estate investing, you just have to realize, like, I'm not going to ever know everything, and I'm just going to have to be okay with that and understand I'll learn as I go.
That's so true. And I think you guys have created such a safe place for new investors, especially women. Sorry, guys. But, you know, you have this online community, which I absolutely love, you know, the community part, but then you can just hop on a Zoom. And at any given time when you're having like a hot seat or a Q&A or whatever the topic might be, you've got a room full of ladies who questions are getting asked in the chat, or I just like popping in, honestly, just to hear people talk about real estate. And, you know, because my friends don't care about it. I can't talk to my best friend back in New York about a deal that just went bad, or, you know, this awesome deal that's happening. So is that kind of how Wire came to be?
Yeah, very much so. Wire was created out of a selfish desire by me and Grace to have that community, because when we first started it back in 2021, there wasn't a community that we felt was the exact vibe that we were going for. And I will say that we really pride ourselves in the Wire community of being vulnerable, being real people, being honest about mistakes that we've made. And the women in the community are that way as well. They share mistakes that they've made and the learnings that they have from those mistakes, probably on every single call. And every call I learn something new that I'm like, wow, I never would have thought of that. Like just last week, someone was like, make sure you're cross-signing all your leases because we lost out on a $30,000 midterm rental insurance booking because they backed out of the lease 3 days before they were supposed to move in. And we were like, no, you have to, you know, you sign this lease with us. And they're like, yeah, we signed the lease, but you never cross-signed the lease as the landlord. So technically this contract is invalid. And we're like, oh my gosh. And people in the comments were like, oh yeah, like I've accidentally forgot to sign leases before too. Like such a little thing that you never even think to like double check, but appreciate that woman for sharing that so other people can not make that mistake in the future.
Yeah, some of the best lessons that you can learn are from other people's mistakes. And that's the part of being in a group, a community, right? Is everybody sharing their wins, but they're also sharing their mistakes. Because it's always fun to talk about your wins, but the real stuff is like, how do I learn? It's from like, what mistake did I make? What was one thing that, like, looking back, I shouldn't have done? And I mean, I could think of a whole bunch of them, right?
So many.
Like,
well, we were just talking about how we should have outsourced bookkeeping way sooner than we did. Because I know I was talking about how you guys have been chatting more about bookkeeping and how great that is, because whether you have 1 property or 40, like, books are so important. And it's like the last thing usually any of us wants to do or talk about or look at.
It's the last thing because it's one of those skills that like you can do yourself. Like, and so to pay someone else to do something that you can technically probably fumble your way through is really painful for some reason, but at the same time, like, it's just not worth it. Like after 2 or 3 properties, you should probably look at outsourcing that.
Yeah, and that was the big thing for us. Like, we did it ourselves. Jen did it really for way, way, way too long. So we didn't hire our bookkeeper till
it was like 2018. I think we hit 6 properties and I was starting to really go, or maybe even 7. And I'm like, I can't anyway. I was in too many tiers.
We have a table full of receipts, tax season time. And like, it was just.
But looking back, income producing task, that is not. So if you can, we were chatting before, is like talking with sellers and sourcing your deals, finding new leads, and making sure your tenants are placed in the properties. Like, those are all really important things to focus on.
We always talk about being a CEO of your business, and at Wire, we always tell people you're the CEO of your business, whether you realize it or not. And when I do the bookkeeping discovery calls for Wire, since we have bookkeeping services, and I always ask people, are you trying to be the bookkeeper of your business, or are you trying to be the CEO? And that usually puts it into perspective of, oh, let me hire it out while it makes sense and it's easy before I get too far behind. And now it's a huge money pit and a stress pit, because that's what I did. And that usually clicks for people.
Yeah, no, I could see that a mile away because it was crazy for us.
Learn from our mistakes. Hire that stuff out.
Yep.
And maybe work on being a landlord. So I want to talk about your book while we have it. I love it. I always recommend it to anybody who has a property, or maybe they're buying their second and now I got 2 properties. Should I get a management company in there? But we've never had a property manager, so I don't know. I've just heard a lot of horror stories about what could go wrong. And so I just want to hear your take on it, Amelia, or Grace. Sorry, we talked a little bit to Amelia about it, but from your standpoint, why is self-managing so important?
Well, I will talk about when I first was like, I need to hire a property management company. I got on google.com and saw that every single PM company in the area had 2.0 stars on Google My Business. And I was like, wait, what? But we call it a savvy self-manager, is not running around like a chicken with your head cut off, stressed in the middle of the night. And it's not forking over an arm and a leg to a PM company who sucks anyways. It's figuring out systems and processes and maybe eventually scaling so that you can have somebody on your internal team who does your PM for a fifth of the price and triple the quality. But that's what we preach about. And especially if you want to quit your job, which we are all full-time real estate people here, and that's most people's aspirations. By simply self-managing, you can keep like 30% more of your cash flow, a huge sum. But you don't have to do it forever. Be a savvy self-manager and eventually hire somebody on your internal team who can take it over for a bit while you still keep that cash flow and the quality. So that's what we're all about.
Well, and being really hands-on, you're learning so much. You're experiencing it. So when you do manage the management company, you have a really good idea of what you're talking about. You've already been there. And so
True.
And I think that's a big key to it, because when we first started, it was like there was times we'd go collect the rent, right? I mean, we were doing all of these things ourselves in the beginning. This was a long time ago, okay? This is some of the things that we did in the beginning. And then as we started to scale our business, that's when systematizing everything and really trying to just make it easy. And once you start growing, you want to do those things as soon as you can. So that's why a book like what you guys came up with goes over that A to Z, like front to back, walks you through every little step of what you need to know on how to do this yourself. So you understand what you're getting into, right? And then when you do grow your business and you're going to start scaling, that information's in there. So you're not having to figure it out as you go, because that's the hardest thing to do, is trying to figure it out as you're doing it, right? So that's a huge help for a lot of folks just, starting off or already have properties who are already getting going.
And it's a skill you can flip into a great partnership like Amelia did, made 6 figures off of bringing no money to the deal because she was like, yeah, I'm a kick-ass property manager. I can do this. And yes, I will take 50% of that deal that I found. The other person brought all the money, and Amelia was in a deal for 3 or 4 years because she knew that her role, I mean, I should let you talk about this, but that your role was worth it.
I always forget about that part. That is such an unknown value of being a killer property manager, is that, yeah, if you can be the boots on the ground for a partnership, a lot of times you won't even have to bring any money to the table. There's, like I said last week, so many people in the world that have money that you don't realize have money, but they don't want to do any of the work. So if you can do the work, you can get a huge chunk of equity in that partnership. They bring the money, you do the boots on the ground work, and then in 4, 5, 6 years, when you end up selling the property, you've made the cash flow during the time you own the property. And then at the sale, hopefully you've added great value to the property, you've raised rents, you've increased, the total value of the property. You make a great cut on the back end in equity once you sell it. And you don't even have to bring money to the table because you are the kick-ass property manager the whole time.
Well, and I love the fact is, like, what we're talking about is breaking down the barriers of you don't need a ton of money. You don't even need credit, right? Because we talk about buying a lot of these properties with seller financing. So if you don't need money and you don't need credit, really what you need to do is get your tribe around you, your village around you, right? Find the person who wants to be the silent partner, who maybe you're really good at crafting and finding the deals and don't mind being the boots on the ground to go do those things. Finding somebody with the money to come in on the deal, right? Even better yet, buy it with seller financing. Try to get yourself a 0% mortgage or something really crazy, right? But if you can start really just building that around you, there's nothing stopping you from getting started. And I love what Amelia said earlier, is if you find the deals, the money will come, right? So just get really, really great at talking to people, being a deal finder. And I'll tell you, anytime somebody brings me a good deal, I'll pay you for it, right? So I'll give you money. So just get real good at doing that, and the money starts coming your way. So if you're listening and you're just starting off, or if you've already done deals, like that's the A1 thing to focus on. It is just those income producing tasks. Find the sellers, find the deals, right? Talk to people who have capital, raising some capital, get a book like Self-Managing Rentals. So you have some experience in your education on what you're doing, and then start growing, because you could get a really healthy exit check in 5-6 years after coming to the table with just putting in some,
sweat equity
work.
And it's not theoretical, because Amelia literally did it. And with our wire community, you broke down every single dollar, because you had great bookkeeping of what you made, what you invested, all from a $5,000 investment, by the way. But super interesting. And I also just want to say that Amelia and I never, ever, when we were getting started, and even now, ever let, oh, I don't have the money for that, get in the way of finding a deal. She went and put that under contract, didn't know where the money was coming from. And we would be in people's messages on Facebook, writing letters, calling people, offering referrals, knowing I don't necessarily have money to buy another deal, but if I get one, I will find it. And you have to be so tenacious. You have to have the tenacity to do that. Like just yesterday, I was at a flip property that I finished, and I saw two guys roll up with their lawnmowers and these little T&J lawn mowing shirts. And I'm like, well, I need a fixer-upper. And who do you think's mowing all the lawns of the fixer-uppers? So I say to my realtor, do you got a card and a pen? So I'm going to take your card and I'm going to put my info on the back. I wrote Grace Gudenkoff, my phone number, $1,000 referrals. And I walk up to them and I said, blah, 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 blah. I know you guys are probably at fixer-uppers all day long. I'll pay you $1,000. I just bought this house. And they were like, oh yeah, we put an offer. We didn't get the house. I tried to buy it. Turns out they were the neighbors and had a lead for me. And they, of course, when I said $1,000, their ears went perked straight up. They're thinking that's the easiest money I'll ever make. So have the tenacity to go ask people, go tell people, and put it out into the world. It cannot be a secret that you're trying to keep.
You are literally the poster child for that. I use you all. Your ears must ring all the time, because we're always telling people in the CFP community. I was like, she hated Facebook. She definitely didn't want anything to do with socials. But I don't know how many referrals at this point you've paid out, because I know you've spent like no money on sponsored ads, but you are constantly telling everyone what you're doing and what you're looking for.
I feel like you're close to double digits on the referrals that you've paid out at this point.
Probably.
Yeah.
That is so smart, Grace. Lawnmowers. Who would have thought? Actually, we had a meetup last night in Des Moines for the Wire community members, and someone said that she and her husband do DoorDash so that they can drive for dollars and make money while they're driving for dollars.
Oh,
That's smart.
I'm like, mind blown, like little entrepreneurs there.
I love
You got to be
that.
scrappy. You got to be feisty. You got to go out and do it. Like, people will always say, why don't you invest in Arizona? And I'll say, I mean, I would do a screaming deal if I found it, but I don't look. And a screaming deal is never going to land at my feet if I'm not looking. And people think that that's how it happens. That's not how it happens. You go out and you fight and you look for it. Like, I'll be honest, I'm trying to find another flip right now. And for the last couple of weeks, I have just been like striking out, just offers not getting accepted, just not having good luck. And I've been that's why I went to the lawnmowers. I'm like, I got to dig deeper. I got to find a freaking deal. We got to start calling the lawnmowers. We got to get creative here. Like, I need a deal.
Well, and that's when it comes. Put a post on your Facebook. I buy houses, DM me, right? And talk about that referral money. And I love the fact it's like, you put that comma in there. It's not just $100 or $500. You put a comma check together. And next thing you know, people are going to start getting scrappy. I've got friends of mine from high school I haven't talked to in 30 years sending me leads constantly because they want to get that money. And that's my favorite check to spend is that $1,000 referral. Like I love doing it. I remember when you did your very first one, I think a neighbor brought you a deal or something like that.
It's got to be enough to make an ex-boyfriend call. That's the line I always say, and mine does. I've got an ex-boyfriend who's always sending me deals, and I'm like, thank you. But yeah, I think the first I ever paid to was a tenant who walked his butt across the street to say, why are you loading this stuff up at a dumpster? I know somebody who'll buy it as is. He wouldn't do that for $100. He'd be like, I don't know. Will she really pay it at? Who knows? 1,000? Oh, people are getting out there and saying your name. They're getting scrappy for $1,000.
Yeah. So if you know somebody who does like UPS or FedEx drivers, mailman,
wasn't a plumber
DoorDash.
somebody you had?
Oh, I've paid a plumber. I've paid multiple tenants, random people from high school, my chiropractor. That's another one probably since the last time I've been on this podcast is I have my childhood chiropractor, who's one of my mom's friends. So many leads came from her. And I kept thinking, and finally I closed one. I kept thinking, why does she give so many good leads? And I realized it's because she small talks all day long. And when people come to the chiropractor, oh, how are you? What's new? Oh, I'm selling my house. Oh, I'm having a baby. Oh, I'm moving. Like that's what they talk about. So then I beeline to my hairdresser and I said, here's exactly what you need to be doing in that darn chair all day is spewing my name to everybody. I'm going to get you a little printout and a QR code so you can pull out your drawer. And I didn't do that, but she sent me, I didn't close it, but pretty quickly she sent me somebody who was interested in actually buying one of my deals. But yes, hairdressers, chiropractors, like who are the people that are small talking all day long? Get them bought in on your vision. Pay them once, maybe be liberal in that first payment so that they are in and they know that you'll pay it.
Yeah, we had my hairdresser. He recommended us talking to some of his friends. They were moving to Hawaii, and the condo was just in shambles. And they were they were like moving in a week or two or something.
They were moving in like 7 days. So like he gave us the phone number.
Oh my goodness!
I called him. He's like, "Well, if you don't mind coming here, the place is a mess." We ended up buying that condo in New York for $25,000.
Wow!
I'll tell you. And these guys were like, hey, listen, you want to buy this thing? If you've got cash, here's the number. I was like, I'll take it. Like,
yeah, it was the easiest deal. We were like, what just happened?
Yeah, I was like, how do I do that 100 more times, please?
Yeah, because I just sat there in the chair. He's putting blonde on my hair. And I'm like, well, yeah, we're buying houses. We're doing it this way. And I was telling him how we were buying creatively. We just learned all about it. And he's like, oh, that might work for my friends, but I don't know. They might need the money. And then Joe was like, cash works for us this time.
And I'm kind of upset right now because I was at the barbershop today and I should have told everybody there that again, just to give her like
missed out.
I saw Joe's face getting a little serious there when we said hairdressers, and I thought, what's he thinking about? He's pissed because he missed an opportunity.
I'll be back in 2 weeks. I'm going to make sure because they know I buy houses, but I need to let them all know about the $1,000 referrals. And I'm going to say it loud because there's a bunch of barbers in there, and this place is packed with all local people. Like, giddy.
There you go.
Now it's on my things to do list now.
Oh my gosh.
Well, and that's why I like connecting. It's sharing ideas. It's sharing what's working. We're able to do it organically, which is the best homegrown way to get leads, make real connections, truly help people without having to break the bank. Because like one of the things that I love about you two is like you never spent money on to generate leads. Like no Google ads, no direct mail. When Jenn and I first got started, our coach made us spend $5,000 on mail, direct mail. Like we got a deal.
It was a lot of pressure though. It was just like, if this doesn't work, what happens? Right. Yeah. Like I wish we had more common sense of how to network like that. And the other thing I love about you too is that there's abundance mindset, like you're both in Iowa. And so some people are like, well, she's in Iowa, then I can't buy any houses. Like, hello, like there's a lot of people, even if you're in the same city or town, which I know you're not, just don't have that scarcity mindset. Really know that you could help each other. You can help so many people. There's more people selling than there are people buying, especially some of these rundown houses or houses that need some work, or just know how to buy and structure these deals on terms.
Abundance is literally one of the core values of Wire. And whether it's a community or real estate investors or business owners, whatever it is, you got to be in a room with people who are all going to help lift you up. I feel like I've always been really lucky that people have lifted me up. And so that's something in Wire we really, really push is there's enough for everybody. We're all here to help each other, especially with sharing mistakes. And it just goes a long ways. I really believe that it will always come back to you if you, have that mindset. So I've always been lucky to be in rooms where people help me, and that in turn, we'd really try to give that in Wire. And I know you guys do too in CFP. And so if you ever feel like you're somewhere where you're not getting the love, like go find a new group of people to work with.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about Wire. I know obviously you've got a community, you've got the online, you still have a free Facebook group. I'm not sure if that's going to be active for a long time, but how do people find you, get connected with you, kind of learn a little bit more about how they can get support?
I would say that the biggest place that people find us and start to get to know us is honestly through our podcast, which is Women Invest in Real Estate. Very simple. If you try to search Wire, it's probably not going to come up. So you're going to have to search the full Women Invest in Real Estate. But we've had you guys on a few times. Those podcast episodes are so good. They're actually in our top 10 performing podcasts of all time. But we share so much really good tactical free information on our podcast that I would say it's the number one best place to get started getting to know us in the community. Also, our website, womeninvestinrealestate.com, we have quite a few freebie downloads that are very helpful as well. So you can go and check those out. And then once a month, we still host a free webinar. Those are very the date and time varies every single month, but usually they're on our website as well if you're looking for one of those. But I would say those are probably the best places, wouldn't you, Grace?
Yeah. Jenn and Joe are our best, I believe, either one or two best podcasts. And Joe's pumped because he's like, I made it. I didn't get it to a retreat, but I got it on the podcast. Well, 3 times too.
I'm just thrilled to be there, right?
It blows my mind how many men listen to your podcast because and I don't know, part of it is they listen and then they can have their girlfriend or their spouse, significant other listen to it as well. And we had a local meetup like a year ago. And I remember a couple of guys came in, like construction workers here in Florida, and they were literally listening to your podcast. It was our episode, and they were just so excited to meet us. And I'm like, what a small world, you just put yourself out there because you just never know who you're going to be helping. And I think it's really cool that, especially if you are in a couple situation, I relate because I wasn't on board at first. I was running out of the disgusting houses and I thought this whole thing was kind of crazy. And who does rent to own? Sounds like a scam until you really start to learn all the right ways you can do it, how you can truly help people. And so, I don't know, just if you're listening and you have a spouse who's just not so sure, keep listening, keep putting those episodes in front of them, play it while you're driving and they don't have a choice. They can't get out of the car.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing I like about it too, it's so real. Like you two are legit, so down to earth. That's why you're absolutely the best. And I think that when there's so many folks on social media these days who, maybe have done a couple deals, but now they have a whole program and they're like the educator and all this. Like here you two are just we're rocking out and we love community, right? And so the fact that you're doing deals, you're actively investing, you're always stepping into new parts of the business too. Because when we've all first got started, it's usually I bought my first rental, right? But then there's multifamily. Then I know before Grace we were talking about a business that you were looking at buying on seller financing. So, and you got to constantly be looking for the next opportunity. And that's the key to it. And so the fact that you two are so in tune, so real, it just goes great. And I knew 4 years ago when Grace got into our program.
Here we go.
You're my first
every
call.
time.
You're the first call of the day. You were on my schedule. It was such an amazing time. I'm like, yay, I get to talk to Grace and spend some time. And there was many times that you'd be on there with me forever. And we would just have the greatest conversations.
We'll dive into more of that on the next episode with Grace alone. But yeah, it's been so fun to just see you guys grow and just become, true powerhouse ladies. Yeah. And I've been to a lot of different retreats, masterminds, rooms, Zooms, and like you just let it like all out, and you like let us be our goofy, silly selves, and also like real badass entrepreneur women. And thank you for that, because it doesn't matter if you've done 100 developments or have 100 doors or you're on your first one. Like, you get everybody in the room have the same mission, vision, and that's remarkable. I mean, I hope you know how awesome you are.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, I'm blushing. My cheeks hurt from smiling so much.
I know. No, we're so grateful for you guys, and same about you.
And I can tell on the flip side of it, I see the person that she left, because she goes for a couple days, right? And then I see the person that she came back, and it's not even the same. It's like, wow, the first one that she went to that you guys did in Orlando, I am telling you, I actually called Grace and I was like, thank you. I know what y'all, I was like, I don't know what y'all did there, but like the woman who came back is not the same woman who left.
Well, because ladies, if you're listening, and if you have kids, especially, I know you girls don't yet, but man, like, you try to be a mom and a wife and run businesses, like, you don't have a lot of extra time. So even just to drive there and to be around other women, and then the connections that we got to meet, Yasha, who was just on our podcast a few weeks ago, and she had me speak at an event. Like, you have to put yourselves in the room. Get into the communities, find the right people, and you'll know right away if you feel it, and you definitely will with you guys. So I'm going to leave all of this below. So if you're looking to connect with Grace and Amelia, you'll find them, Women Investing in Real Estate, their website, all of the things. I believe their community has a wait list at the moment, but make sure you hop on that so that you can be there when the doors open. I highly recommend their retreats, 10 out of 10, every single time.
Yeah, and you have to be in the community. You have to be in the community to go to a retreat. But yes, thank you so much, Jen. We're grateful for you.
Awesome.
And Joe, of course.
I'm here.
Women invest in real estate, and the husband on the side here. So. Awesome. Well, until next time, everyone, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Tune in next week, and we'll see you on the flip side. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.